9 years ago, Dead Island 2 entered the public zeitgeist with a funny and comedic reveal trailer. It teased a new colourful setting for LA whilst doubling down on that irreverent tone of the original game. However, as the years passed on, the rumour mill began to churn out tales of internal struggles, with the project switching development hands and being delayed time and time again. When the review code eventually landed in our inbox, a mere 8 years after its proposed and original 2015 release window, we couldn't help but feel a little bit sceptical. Thankfully, our skepticism was met with complete and utter surprise, as Dead Island 2 isn't just a cohesive zombie slayer, it's a pretty good one. Dead Island 2 is an open-leveled RPG set within the zombie-infested streets of LA, and right away, we are touching on one of our favourite aspects of this sequel. LA, as it's coined, isn't an enormous open world filled with an overwhelming number of icons. It's actually made up of a handful of carefully curated open levels, ranging from the millionaire mansions of Bel Air to the labyrinthine sound stages of Monarch Studios. It was totally refreshing to be given manageable spaces to explore that felt purposeful and unique in their own ways. There weren't repetitive areas, we weren't left running for miles on end to get to our destination, and even the levels themselves range in both size and linearity. There are still side quests and other content to work your way through, but these serve more as ways to study the environment a little bit closer, give you cooler weapons, and ultimately make you feel like a badass as you slay countless undead opponents. It all meant that each time we reached a new area, we were rubbing our hands together, looking forward to uncovering new world details offered up by its environment. And each new zone had its own flavour too, like the blood-soaked undead bridesmaids in the Halperin Hotel, or the bevy of muscly giants brought to their untimely demise at the Venice Beach Strongman competition. The levels didn't just influence where you were slaying zombies, but what kind of zombies you were slaying, and it kept you on your toes as you explored. Truthfully, we were completely won over by Dead Island 2's setting. It all felt like a 2010 game in terms of its scale, carefully and densely curated with all the graphical and mechanical prowess of a 2023 release, and we really do mean that in the best kind of way. But what is a great zompocalypse, the game's term, not ours, without some fun zombie slaying gameplay? Dead Island 2 thankfully moves on from the stilted gameplay feel of its predecessor to deliver something fast-paced, dynamic, and, of course, horrifically gory. The game's flesh mechanic really does make this some of the most satisfying zombie killing put to the medium. With each slash, bash, and scorch, skin and bones are torn, snapped, amputated and mutilated before your very eyes. Bones jut out of removed legs as you swipe katanas at them, eyes pop out as you bash skulls with hammers, and skin will burn away in real time as you wield some acidic knuckle dusters. On the odd occasion, we did feel like the game could have done with more zombies on screen at once, but if this was the cost of highly detailed gore, we genuinely think it was worth the price. That's because the flesh mechanic feeds into the weapon system. It isn't anything groundbreaking or even new to the franchise as you fiddle with weapon classes, perks and damage types. However, the chaos that you can cause with said weapons becomes a case of morbid curiosity. What would a sledgehammer with an impact mod do to a zombie's skull? How easily could you slice off limbs with an acid-tinged sword? It's a fun form of bloody experimentation that entices you into its weapon modification in a way that most games fail to do. That being said, it is guilty of the video game sin of filling your inventory with too many pointless things. You'll spend nearly every waking moment of your explorations of LA collecting various doodads as you loot suitcases, drawers, cupboards, car boots, shelves, safes, chests, trucks, and even the zombies themselves. All of these knickknacks are then used to craft up the deadliest of weapons, but we'd be lying if the whole rigmarole of looting didn't get old after a while. And the influx of bigger and better weapons meant that you were constantly having to decide between ditching the weapon you liked for something with higher stats in a different tier. Then there is the card system, which works through the game's 6 playable characters, a mechanic that feels like a scaled back version of something originally intended for much more. At the beginning of your campaign, you'll choose your own protagonists, each with their own personality, skills and traits. We chose the foul-mouthed Irish woman Danny, who prioritises stamina but still packs a punch with her thunderstruck explosion ability. We were relatively surprised by the personality on show during the game's cutscenes, but it all began to feel a bit pointless. Dialogue for all the NPCs was generic as to fit with each of the 6 protagonists, and since you couldn't switch characters during the game's campaign, nor is there any difference to the campaign based on who you play, there was really no reason to replay it all to try out a different character type. And really, the less we say about the game's run-of-the-mill storyline, the better. Of course, the bigger feature here are the cards themselves, which will apply a bunch of passive and unique abilities to your character. There's certainly a depth to the builds that you can craft up as you unlock and discover more cards across the campaign. For Danny, we used the likes of an impact amplifier for our dropkick, and you can mix up your ultimate styled fury mode ability to rampage through hordes of zombies. However, outside of 1 or 2 key skills and the odd boss fight, we really weren't compelled to dive deep into the card system, especially when just slashing and smashing away would be just as fun and effective. In the end though, Dead Island 2 is a refreshing surprise amidst the 2023 release roster. It's a fun and simple zombie slasher experience that may be let down by its uninspiring RPG elements and boring loot cycle, but more than makes up for it with its killer setting, brutal melee combat, and stunning graphics. While we suspect some may be disappointed by Dead Island 2's size after all of these years, we found it utterly refreshing to find a AAA experience that respects your time and, more importantly, doesn't overstay its welcome. In a day and age of 300-hour RPGs, it's nice to know that some games are here for a fun time, not a long time. Thank you everyone for watching. This has been our Dead Island 2 review. Please let us know what you are thinking about this game down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this review, why not leave a like? That really does help us out, and even better, subscribe to the channel for more news, reviews, guides, gameplay and everything else within the world of PlayStation right here on Push Square. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.